range in England. It consists of 149 circles that cover an entire square acre of a wheat field. This design matches a mathematically produced image known as a Julia set that was invented by Gaston Julia from a study of fractals. And on July 30th of 1996, a formation with 194 circles over 1,000 feet in diameter was found at Windmill Hill near Yetesbury, Wiltshire, England. It consists of 3 strands of the Julia set. This formation has been found to have remarkable mathematical consistencies in triangular forms. Then, on August of 2001, this formation with 6 strands of the Julia set was found at Milk Hill near Alton Barnes, Wiltshire, England. And finally, on August 2000, this incredible glyph was discovered at the same field where the face would appear 1 year later, across from the radio telescope at Churbolton in central England. It is the most complex mathematical formation seen thus far. In order to appreciate the importance that crop circle formations represent, it is necessary to understand how they are constructed, how the plants are affected, and the facts relating to how crop circles were created and not hoaxed. These formations exist in farmed crop fields that produce large areas of even shades and colors when viewed from above. Contrast to these even shades are produced when sections of the crops are lying on the ground instead of being vertical. A close examination of the leveled crops reveals that the plants are interwoven with each other, as if they grew naturally that way, and not just bent over and mashed down together. Michigan biophysicist Dr. W.C. Levengood has examined plants from inside and outside of crop formations in the United States, Canada, England, and Australia. He has found a consistent combination of changes in affected plants, which include enlargement of plant cell pits, reoriented, swollen, and exploded growth nodes, evidence of rapid heating, changes in seed growth, and an increase in metabolic cell respiration at an average of 21%. These are samples of unaffected stems taken from plants that were outside of a crop circle formation. They are relatively straight. These are samples of plants taken from inside of a crop circle. Dr. Levengood has found that the top growth nodes were bent at an average of 39% from the vertical. He believes that this was caused by rapid heating and expansion, followed by a collapse of the thin cell tissue, which then produced the angled reorientation. These are samples of lower stem growth nodes of affected plants. The arrows are pointing at expulsion cavities. These lower nodes have tissue that are tougher and more mature, which can sustain more pressure and do not collapse as easily as the upper nodes when exposed to rapid heating. Instead, Dr. Levengood concludes that the cell water heats up and bursts out of the lower nodes, creating the expulsion cavities. Affected plants do not wither and die. They continue to grow and are harvested. Although subjected to rapid heating, the plants were not dehydrated. Their seeds germinate faster and have a 45% increased growth rate, as demonstrated here with plants from inside at the edge and outside of a crop circle. There are many mysteries concerning how the crop circles are created, which usually occurs at night and in damp weather. There are corroborating testimony from credible witnesses that report strange lights and sounds in the skies above where formations have been formed. The vast size of these formations, some of which that cover an entire square acre or more, would require many people working for several hours to try to reproduce them. And researchers have been unable to find any tracks or any signs of human presence in the area of crop circle formations. Many of the formations were found to be on uneven ground, so not only is it impossible to discern what a crop circle pattern is from the ground, but it is not possible to see all of it from ground level. The precise layout of the pictograms would require a very high level of sophisticated technological competence that could not be accomplished at night without lighting, and there were no lights in the field at the time that the formations were created. The swirling and interwoven nature of the affected plants cannot be accomplished by simply tromping on the plants. Dr. Levengood has stated that whatever is doing these formations is affecting the fundamental biophysics and biochemistry of the plants. He hypothesizes that the crop circles are created with a spinning plasma and microwave energy. Now, let's get back to the message that was sent out into space. It is known as the Arecibo message, named after the radio telescope that sent it in November of 1974. It is a pictogram arranged in a matrix of 23 pixels by 73 pixels. It describes our numbering system, the building blocks and formulas for DNA, a double helix symbol of DNA, a figure of a human being, our solar system, and a diagram of the radio telescope that sent the message. It was a huge telescope similar to this one. Let's take a closer look at the message. Horizontal and vertical grid lines have been added to make it easier to see each dot and space. It begins at the top with a description of our decimal numbering system using dots and spaces. This is the basic computer numbering system known as binary that works with ones and zeros, or in this case, with dots and spaces. But this system needs a starting point. That's what these tabs here represent. The ones and zeros up here relate to the dots and spaces here. Notice that there is a dot and two spaces in this first column above the starting tab. This is represented by a 1 and 2 zeros up here. Likewise, there is a 0, 1, 0 here that relates to the space dot space here, and so on. To interpret what the ones and zeros mean, we begin with the digit next to the starting tab. A 1 digit in this row has a value of 1. A 1 in the next row has a value that is twice the value of the previous row, or 2. Likewise, a 1 in this row is equal to twice the previous value, or 4. If there were any 1s in this row, they would have a value of 8. In order to determine the total value of all of the 1s in this column, you simply add the values of all of the 1s. For instance, there is only a single 1 digit, and it has a value of 1, so the total is 1. This column also has only a single 1 digit, but it has a value of 2, so the total is 2. In this column, there are 2 of the 1 digits. This one has a value of 1, and this one has a value of 2. So you add the values of 1 and 2 together.